Okay, I have a power bank hooked up to the camera, so my battery life is greatly extended. Thank goodness. Glad I got that done. If you haven't seen that, see the short about it. This video is going to be this is being recorded towards the end of July, and of course it's coming out now, which is in the middle of September, about whatever. And I've got something going on where I'm going to be playing with this. So why don't we go ahead and we'll get rolling on it. Okay, welcome back to the AnKorage. Hey guys, so this is the AnKorage where everything is awesome, and we are diving back into Solaria Quest. So Solaria Quest is the video series that I have created to focus on my computer called Solaria. And it is primarily a Linux Mint Debian Edition, or LMDE, machine. That is my personal productivity machine. I take care of all of my business through it. I do all of my IT maintenance through it. And I've got something extra going on with it, and it involves this here that I bought recently. And but of course, as you're seeing this is like, somewhat recently, a couple months back. So this is from, I happened to buy this off of Amazon, and what it is that it's absolutely Chinese, and here's why. It's one of those weird name brands, Ilutang, and and of course, uses the catchphrase or the motto of create, resolve, with a comma. All right, whatever. But it's definitely Chinese. Of course, my glasses are up there, so I can't get them. But the company is Engisen Electronics Company Lieutenant, or Corporation Ltd. Company address is in Yingchang Dinsha, Honglu Road, Yuanling Street, Futan District, Shenzhen, China. So this is definitely a Chinese product because it's all over it. But this is what it actually is. I mean, it does come in a static-free bag because it isn't a PC part, and it does have electronics on it. It's got a PCB, or printed circuit board, and this is it right here. This happens to be, I love the color on it. It's black. Backside is black as well. So it'll go with the cosmetic motif of the interior of Solaria. And of course, we've got all of these little things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, and it is that. It's an expansion card with USB 3 Type A ports on it. Now, why is that? Well, on Solaria, I currently have, I've got a USB 3 Type A on the top, which I use for miscellaneous stuff. I've got a USB Type A, USB 2 on the top, and then on the I/O board, on the motherboard, there's a couple of USB Type 2s, or USB 2s Type A's, and a couple of USB 3 Type A's. But those are all being used for stuff, and it's like I need to actually have, you know, effectively 2 or 3 more. In one of those 3 ports, I actually have a USB hub that I keep up on my desk that's switchable, so I can turn them on and turn them off as I need them. One is actually for my my 2FA, or two-factor authentication. I have a hardware key up there, and so when I don't use it, I shut it off, and when I do use it, I turn it on. So that way, you know, it doesn't use unnecessary power that it doesn't have to be using at any given time. So what I opted for was the expansion card. I noticed on the card, on the motherboard, that there is a spare PCIe expansion slot available on it, and just one. And I'm like, you know, I could actually utilize that at some point. And I've known this for the past few years. So I got this. This is a card, and it's got a PCIe 1 connector, you know, slot connector right there, and it will fit into that spot. And I'll take this and just plug it in. So this video is me putting that in. But not only that, I will also be giving a little tour of the Solaria, and then one other project that I'm doing is you know, where they're sitting. So I'll be describing that. And so why don't we go ahead and move on to the next part. Okay, so I'm sitting in my desk chair in front of my my workstation, and I have Solaria and Odin here. So Solaria is the left one, and Odin is the right one. So I'm going to be taking that out. So the second project I'm actually going to be doing is down at the bottom, the base of it there, underneath those colonial phoenixes, or phoenix eye, whatever, it's phoenixes, just those there. And you know, one of the things about these cases is that there is no ventilation on the bottom. So, you know, a lot of up-to-date cases these days will actually have a they'll have like a radiator down there, you know, or space for a radiator, or a vent and stuff like that. Now these don't have it. This just has a full-blown basement, and I'll show you what that looks like. But in the far rear is where the power supply is, and with that there is, of course, you know, a fan on the bottom for bringing in air. So and as you can see, I've got shag carpet. So it's not that 70s shag stuff, you know. So I don't have a shag pad. So it's just that nappy shag carpet. As I'm trying to show it, you can see it kind of a little better right there. So the airflow, you know, it's fine. I mean, these are on feet, you know, and then it's at least a centimeter to a centimeter and a half in height or in altitude. Yet with that is that carpet can kind of just disrupt the airflow and stuff like that. So what I want to do is I want to improve it a little bit. And up on the desk, if I go up here, you know, you can see there's the monitor, there's my sound bar, and there used to be, you know, and there's my printer and my scanner. That's connected to Solaria. It's not networked in with the network, so I don't want it to be. But this all used to sit on a board, and I'll describe that in a little bit here. But the idea is to put the board underneath these with another board, which I'll describe in a little bit, to give it that little additional height and a flat surface to allow better airflow for that fan to keep the power supply cool. So why don't we move to where I got that board. So here we are in my den, we'll call it. So we'll call it that. We have my bookshelves here. And so a little story about this bookshelf is this was purchased at, I believe, I'd have to double check, but I believe it was bought at a local Goodwill. That's no longer there. It was closed a couple years ago, and now it's going to be a state liquor store. Because in New Hampshire, the state liquor is regulated through the state, and we're talking the hard stuff. Anything that's stronger than beer and wine. So, you know, your whiskeys, you know, wine. It's not wine. Well, they do sell wine, but, you know, your whiskeys, your liqueurs, you know, your schnapps, your brandy, you know, your Grand Marnier. I should know. My first job was with the Liquor Commission. I stock shelves. And when I go walking into one of these stores these days, I take a whiff and I smell the cardboard and I'm like, oh, I miss that smell. Now, the location of that Goodwill, it closed because of, well, what happened during the whole COVID thing. Rents went up. And then it wasn't just rents, but, you know, leases, but it wasn't just residential. It was businesses too. And Goodwill happens to be a for-profit business, and because they have their own, they sell they produce and sell their own stuff, and so the owner of the building that they were in wanted to increase the lease by something like $3,500 a year or something like that, and Goodwill wouldn't have it, so they decided just to shut it down and get out of town. And now the Liquor Commission is opening up a store, and it is just about to open. They're just about finished. But this bookcase was bought from that location, I believe, from the Goodwill. It's it's got a little bit of wear and stuff like that. It's in perfectly fine shape, and it's certainly usable. And because look, I'm using it. Something interesting though is that, of course, it comes with 1, 2, 3 shelves already, and of course the bottom as well. But for some reason, the previous owner wanted to have 2 more shelves. And so what they did was they went out and they bought some 3/4 inch plywood. And that's what this is. And they cut it the length. And they stained it. Awesome for staining. And then you can have additional shelves. But they don't serve a purpose now. So I had one on my desk. And because I needed to extend it outwards a little bit because of space availability. And then that need happened to go away after I got rid of that A6 processor all-in-one computer. They gave that one to a relative, and then when I did that, I gained usability of the space. So I moved everything back, but I didn't take the board out, and I just removed that board. And it's not this one. This is the other one because there were 2 of these. So what I'm going to be doing with these is I'm going to be using these to sit Solaria and Odin on, to give a little bit of extra height and to provide a flat surface to allow better airflow to the fan of the power supply, because I think that carpeting, it's like, yeah, it is relatively flat from constant use. It's, the mat's been leveled, pushed down and stuff like that, but every little bit helps. So and plus it gets the computer off the floor, so that kind of helps a little bit. And of course, this being wood provides a little more insulation from static and stuff like that. Who knows? I'm not a professional knowledgey guy on static electricity with carpets, stuff like that. But if you get an insulative material in between, to my knowledge, it's a help. So, and removes that connectivity and conductivity is actually what I meant to say. So, and as far as this goes, I've got my Battlestar collection right down here. I've got some more of that up here. I've got some other personal items up and through here, and then of course, this you can't really see it, but it's a radio. It used to be my father's, but it's mine now. AM, FM, shortwave 1, shortwave 2, and aviation. I don't use it, but I can hear it all, and it's great. So why don't we move back out to Solaria, and I give you a tour of it. That is going to be fun because I have to get on the floor, I have to pull it out, I have to unplug everything, and then take the case, bring it up onto the coffee table there, and then we can go over a tour of it. Okay, so here is Solaria. Got the Colonial Phoenix on the side there and everything like that. And this is, it's the machine that I'm building slowly, here and there, maintaining it, adding to it, what have you. So this is it. So that glass panel there was it's translucent, so you can see straight through it, but it is painted on the back side. So I'll describe that a little bit. And this is it's a Matrix 50 that's made by Deepcool, and of course it's got low vent on the top, and you can see over here, you can see the I/O. This up here is a button for the RGB that's built into it. You got headphone and mic. There's the USB 2. There's the USB 3. Here's the power button, and I retrofitted it a little bit by sticking a little bit of laminate on there. And of course, there's my embossed label. It says Solaria, and there we go. And that's it. Now this was actually the case from Deepcool. Was actually purchased from through eBay, and it was normally brand new at the time, was about $75 plus shipping. I happened to buy this off of eBay for $40 plus shipping, so the overall cost equaled out, and so there's that. And I got that because if we come over here to Odin, it's the same one. So that was done mainly because of that. So now what we're going to be doing here is looking at a couple of different things about it. The Matrix 50 it's a good case. It's a good general purpose case. It's not exactly high end. It's functional. It's useful. I like it. The overall design of it is very minimalist. So it's no fancy lines on it, no nasty angles. Everything is symmetrical. It's fantastic. It is an OCD person's dream, I think. Could be wrong, but the front panel, which is here, this actually pops off. The very front of it, this is glass. So, and of course, any gamer out there would be like, well, that's wrong. And it should be a mesh front. Yeah, I agree for gamers, if you're using it as a gaming machine. Yeah, Odin is a gaming machine in itself. It's got a 3070 in there, for crying out loud. But, I play one game and it's not very intensive on the card. So it does pretty well. This pops off. There is a different front. They do have a different version of this where it does have a mesh front, but the mesh front has these weird angles on it and stuff like that. That is an OCD nightmare, and I don't have OCD, but I'm very OCD like, and I like flat surfaces, minimalistic purposes, um, and characteristics where a mesh front with all kinds of weird angles on it. No, 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 no. That is a no. Flat. I want it to be utilitarian, minimalistic, plain, serves the purpose, and be done with it. So there's that. And air is provided on the sides through these little mesh sides. There's one there, and there's one right over here. And it's just brush off the dust. So keeps that clear. And of course, this side panel is glass, and these are thumb screws right in here. So I'll take that off in a little bit here. And on the back, there's our I/O. This had to manually put in, this I/O shield, stuff like that. But you can see what I've got here. I've got an HDI port. I've got a VGA. I've got HDMI, 4 USB 3 Type A's, 2 USB 2.0 Type A's. There's my Ethernet, and then I've got my audio and stuff like that. And then of course I've got this slot here. My video card is here, and it is a 2-slot card as far as how much space it takes up. And then I'm going to be using one of these for my expansion card. And then here's the power supply right down here. So, and this is where the vent is, right down underneath. There's a little piece of mesh under here, to capture dust. So there's a little bit under there. So I'll be cleaning that off before I put it into its spot back again. And then over on this other side here, this is the back panel where all of the wires are. So why don't I open this up and give you a tour of the inside? Okay, so give you a tour of the inside. We're going to start off with the bottom, and just because it's just how I've got the camera set up. And so this is what folks call the basement. It's the bottom area. So there's no space here to put a radiator or anything like that. And over here is the power supply, and the vent for it is right underneath. And there we go. And this has dust in here right now, so why don't I take a second and we'll take care of that. I have some trusty compressed air that I bought from Staples, so why don't we go ahead and blow this stuff out. Okay, the can is utterly freezing now. So that blew away a lot of the dust. I mean, there's still little teeny bits. I can go in there with a microfiber cloth and pull it off. And, they're like, oh, some people might be thinking, oh, just go at it with a vacuum. Yeah, for the sake of static electricity that might be generating from the vacuum, you don't want to go putting vacuum bristles all over the electronics. So, of course, I'm touching them, but, I'm grounded, so I don't have to worry about it. So, why don't we move this up, and you can see the goodies up in the upper half. All right. So here we are with the upper section. So here is this is a Zotac Gaming GeForce or GeForce GTX 1660 Ti. So a very basic, in today's standards, a very basic video card, but it is very capable of many games. And it's people tell me, oh, you need a Series 3000, you need a Series 4000. No, I don't. Yeah, I'm not a gamer, so, and this works for my purposes. And this is an MATX motherboard, or micro ATX motherboard, and it is from Gigabyte. And so this here, where you see the word Viper, that is an NVMe solid state drive. And when I bought it originally, there was no drive in that spot. It was just an empty slot that was available. the actual operating system drive was a SATA SSD, which I still have, but I'm not using that specific drive. I've actually upgraded it to a Crucial from what was it, Team Group. It was a Team Group drive, and upgraded it to the Crucial, and cloned the drive over, and I've got it all set up so that this drive is now the operating system drive, and this is where Linux Mint sits, and LMDE Debian Edition, and the SATA drive is still connected, but it's on the back side. It's behind this here, so it's in the back section with all the cables and stuff, because it's silver, and this is black. Silver on black, yeah, it works if you have a silver theme going on, but this is primarily black, so it's ugly. So there we go. Up at the top, I have a radiator with a couple of fans. The radiator is a Rosewill, as it says on the processor block here. It is an AIO, or an all-in-one cooling solution. It's water cooled, and water gets pumped from here up into the radiator and back down into the water block. There's my RAM. This RAM was originally the RAM that came with the Odin, but I had 32 gigs of RAM in here, and I moved that RAM over to that machine and this memory to this machine, because this is only 16 gigs, and I wanted Odin have more available RAM to use. So I did that. And let's see, what else do we have in here? Over here, we've got I've got a Linux Mint badge. Those annoying stickers you see on laptops a lot and on computers, on towers and things of the sort. I usually just peel those off, but not so for this one here. And then the one up top above it, it is my YouTube channel badge. And so it says the AnKorage on it, and it's got the original channel logo, which is Odin's Raven, on top of a Colonial Phoenix border, as it were. Of course, my channel's logo's been updated to a green anchor with the Colonial Phoenix element border thing in the background. But this is the original one I had done. A guy over in Poland made these up for me. I've got a box full of them. So there we go. And what this also has is that this came with 3 120 millimeter fans, and they're RGB, but I don't use RGB. I took that cable out because RGB is really, it just doesn't fit my thing, my aesthetic preference. So then there's a lot of people out there that don't like it either, so it's easy, just unplug it, put it away. But the fan itself, they're still used, and so I got those. And this case has 2 spots for SATA SSDs. So there's one here that wasn't being used originally. I had that original drive, that Team Group drive was up here in the original case. That case is gone after I transplanted everything from that case over to this one. And so there's that. There's 2 more of these on the back, and they're actually on cradles, and I'll show you those in a moment. This here is this motherboard is a gigabyte, and it works just fine. And down below, let me look at the camera. You might be able to see it, but right here is, right there is that PCIe 1 available slot. So I'm going to be putting my expansion card into that slot, and that will come out. This might be in the way, but I can
probably push that out of the way. It'll probably come out to this guy here. Now, these available slots back here, see if I can turn this a little bit so you can see a little better. Yep, these slots, they're really good, but one of the caveats to the Matrix 50 is that these slot covers are not unscrewable. In other words, they're not held on with screws and you can take them out. You actually have to punch them out because they're connected to the casing. So it's metal. You got to break metal to do it. Um, this is a very much a budget case, so that just comes with the territory. But under normal circumstances, I look at that and I say that is a design flaw, but it's not in this particular case situation. This is just a cover for these slot covers, and it unscrews up here. And so now I am going to show you the the mess. Okay, here's the mess. There you are. Now, of course, some folks would look at this and be like, that is utterly disgusting. There is absolutely no cable management going on there. Well, correction, there is, but it's just what was already there. And I've done a very little bit. But the problem that I have is that is the lengths of the cables. They don't agree with how I want to route them. So, and in the end, this is a solid back plate, which is this. Do you see the wires through that? If you can see the wires on that, tell me down below. I'd appreciate it. So there you go. However, in this section, what we've got is, of course, you can see the bottom of the motherboard here. You can see the mounting bracket that I've got there for the water block, and here's that drive that I put it back here. This has it came originally with Windows 10, and I did do the the thing there where people can test and stuff like that. I did that for Windows 11, and that was back in the original case, and then I just ported it over, and I just took it and I just connected it with a SATA drive to this, so it makes this dual boot machine where the operating system is on separate drives, which is it's just my opinion, but I think it's best to have your operating systems on separate drives and you boot the actual drive that you want to use. So, but the convenient thing that the Matrix 50 has is that, it sits on a cradle. Here's one right here that's screwed in. I'm not going to take it off because I'd have to put it back on. And, but you get space for two of those there. Here's the backside of, those, say those SSD spots here. They're 2.5 inch drives and stuff like that. And then down below, we have the basement area. There's my power supply. It's an Aries Game AGV 500, so it's a 500 watt. It is an 80 plus bronze, but that's all I need. It works just fine. And one of the convenient things that the Matrix 50 has is over here. You've got drive slots for two 3.5 inch hard drives, drive spots, and they have cradles that you unscrew and you slide them out. And so I've got both of mine filled up with hard drives. They are Western Digital Greens at 3 terabytes apiece. So I've got 6 terabytes of storage space here. This is basically archival storage of data. So, and of course it's a mechanical disk. So, and which has fantastic longevity for life, storage, everything like that. So that's what those are for. And I'd have the RGB cable in here as well, but it would make this look so much worse than how it already is. So there you go. And but I could take some time, see if I can route these a little better, clean this up a little bit, which I might do. But because that panel is solid, I'm not in a hurry to get that done. So there we go. So why don't we spin this back around and we'll get that card installed. Okay, so here we are, and I've got the view zoomed in, and so you can kind of see that port a little better, and I've got the light on the phone shining in there so you can actually see it. So there's that port. So the first thing we have to do is we actually have to clean out a spot for it on the actual slot on the back of the case. So I need to figure out how this is going to sit, where it's going to sit. So I need to hold it up here, and I see it's that very top one, which is this guy. So I need to pull that out. So give me a second while I get that slot cover out. Okay, the slot cover is now out, so I can now install the card. Get that slid right in there. There, it's in. So here I am back on the floor yet again. So here's Odin right here. Now it needs a little dusting, but I've got the cords for Solaria. They're up there on top of Odin. So we've got the spot here, and right here I've got one of the boards. Well, I've got both boards. So this is the original idea, was just to take it, slide it in. But the problem is that I don't have the depth I need for one, and I don't have the width I need for the other. So the only other going option would be to put these in on a 90-degree angle on the floor, like so, and sit them on top, one next to the other. But at the same time, I may not have the depth. These might be too wide. So I'm going to be looking at this off camera, and I'll come back with news about that. Yeah, so the news is, it doesn't work. It won't fit. And I don't have the resources necessary to fix the issue. Namely, I have a handsaw, but I'm not going to handsaw a 3/4 inch plywood plank with that. And I don't have a circular saw, because it would be the only thing I'd be using it on, and I don't have anything else or projects that would require one. So that's going to be sitting on the back burner until the day comes when I actually need it. Yeah, I'm hunched over because I have to clean up a little bit. So I just have to get the table cleaned off, and because I blew all that dust all around. Just gotta get that cleaned up. And that's it for me today. My head is under the bus, and so is my body. So I'm going to relax the rest of today, and I'm busy tomorrow. So I can't do any filming tomorrow. And so I'll pick it up the day after tomorrow, and we'll pick up from there. So talk to you in a second. All right, it's now 2 days later. Yesterday I had to install an air conditioner, so I took care of that, and my mind and my head and my body was wiped for the day. So that's why I didn't do any filming yesterday. So now what I'm going to be doing is I've installed the card, and everything's in, and now we need to see if it actually works. So what I did was I plugged in a little USB, an empty USB stick. It's 128 gigs, whoop-de-doo. And I just need to see if it's in. And let's see.
I see it. Where are we? There it is. And there we go. There it is. It's showing up. So, awesome. So, I've got plans for this card. And I've had that for a while now. So, I bought it for the purpose of being able to, add things to it. Now, one of the caveats to having a PCI Express X1 or times 1, PCI 1, expansion slot as a USB card as the expansion slot. It's USB 3, and one of the caveats to it is, well, this in particular is, in most cases, a USB 3, even USB 2, can provide power even when the computer is off. In other words, the motherboard is not powered up or anything like that. The power headers on the board feed the ports, and it's a constant feed of electricity at all times. So even when the computer's off, you could use the ports to, charge a phone, battery bank, you name it, a USB fan, doesn't matter. However, on this card, the power is provided through the PCI Express slot through the motherboard. So that means if the motherboard isn't powered up, it's not providing power to the ports in that card. So that's the only caveat to it. So when I'm not using Solaria at all, it's like nothing's going to happen as far as power on that card, and that is not a problem, because it only matters when I have the thing on, like right now. I can see it, I can do that, and there we go. So I have plans. I'll be moving the crypto wallets from Odin over to Solaria, because Solaria is my business computer, to say, it's my personal productivity machine, and I'll just move my my crypto wallets over to that, and just unplug here, plug in there, done, and then just tell the software, hey, this is what's there, and that's fine for me. I don't have any other thoughts right now or ideas, and I'll have 5 more ports available. So, I've got the availability there, so that if something comes up in the future, there we go. So, that was awesome. So, why don't we finish up? Whew. Okay, well, that was fun to do. It was kind of neat. I've wanted to get this card for, it has to have been at least since before this past winter. I'm glad that I went ahead and I took care of that, and I've gotten it. So I'm not so sure there's much more I can do with Solaria as far as improving it or upgrading it and stuff like that. Yeah, I could do the processor or the graphics card, but that's stuff that's not permanently attached to it. But I don't have any need for it. I am good with what I've got, because it is primarily a Linux LMDE Debian Edition machine. Excuse me, and it is way more than capable of for what I need it to be. And yes, I do have that Windows 11 drive on there for the sake of maintenance only, and that maintenance is basically restricted to BIOS updates, maybe some graphics card firmware updates, stuff like that. But I don't see it beyond that. So yeah, I'll keep the Windows side of it there, because it was built for the sake of Windows. I've got telemetry on the Windows side shut off, so it doesn't phone home for anything. So yay me. Linux Mint Debian Edition is very stable, and it works fantastic. I am very happy with that. But with this card, like I was saying, I'll be moving my crypto wallets over to it, and that's it for right now with it. And if anything else in the future comes up where I need some sort of permanent USB connection on it, then that'll happen when it happens. So that's pretty much it. Oy. So make sure you give this a like, hit your comment, and that's your subscribe. I am very appreciative of that. And see me out on the Fediverse on Fedisroot or fe.disroot.org, and you can see everything. You can get announcements of new videos. You could talk with me on it. You could also see me out on PixelFed, which is the ethical equivalent to Instagram, which that is owned by Meta, and there you go. So, so what do I have out there? I have different pictures of different things. I don't use it a lot, but I do use it, and I do check in on it on occasion. Actually, more often than on occasion. Every couple, 3 days, that kind of thing. So, but I'm always checking Fedisroot all the time, and on both the account for the channel and my personal one, and there we go. So come on back in the future, and we'll get some more videos going on. And in the meantime, be good, and we'll talk to you later. So thank you very much. Skál.